The following is a presentation of Morning Drive Media.
Broadcasting from beautiful Burbank, California, this is the Napzok Files and a special edition of a show. It's been a while, but it's back, and this one's going to be a lot different than you've heard before. It's Life Ranked here on the Napzok Files podcast feed. All right, so the show's usually this. I bring in a guest. I say, hey, you have an interest. Give me a rank. A life rank of 5 great things, 5 to 1. And we'll talk about it. We've had great episodes. Jay Washington talking about the things he learned from pro wrestling is one of the last ones I did before the show kind of went on an unexpected hiatus. And I thought, I got to bring it back. And how do I bring the show back? And who's the guest to do that? And I realized he's been under my nose the whole time. He's one of the co-creators, co-producers of Little Bobby and the Juice on YouTube, a sensation of a show you should be watching. You know him by a lot of different names. Finstock, Bobby Gucci. I know him as Ton Dagnino, one of the best baseball fans ever. Tom, welcome to Life Ranked.
Oh, man, Ken, I couldn't be more happy to be here.
This is...
I just love talking on the mic with you, regardless of what it is.
It's great.
You know, we had a great Napzok Files years and years ago. Yeah, I don't think we've done anything since.
We have not.
Which is bad.
You know, sometimes, I have to, my lawyers kind of say, ease off on the Bobby Gucci brakes or gas pedal. I put the pump the brakes. But I love you so much. This is always going to be an unfiltered conversation for those listening. We're going to have a lot of fun here today. But you and I, that Napzok Files episode might have been 3-4 years ago in the early days of the Napzok Files.
Easily.
When I was just getting to know you. Now I feel to know you a lot better. You become one of my favorite people. And I always say this, in a world that everyone else thinks you're insane, you're the most sane person in the room.
That's the truth.
It is the truth. I'm not even lying.
The wackos we deal with.
Not even lying on any level. And one of the reasons I think we really started to connect as people, not just online characters, is our love of baseball.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
It goes deep for you.
Yeah, I'd throw out lines like Len Cicada, and you'd be like, oh, second baseman of the Baltimore Orioles, 1982, he played for the Yankees. I'm like, wow, this guy knows a lot.
Yeah,
and not a lot of people know that kind of stuff. I talked to a lot of people, especially out here. When I was in New York, there was a lot more diehard fans. A lot more diehard fans. You know, a lot more people you can talk to on a daily basis. They read the paper. There was nothing else to do out there. You know what I mean? So they're sitting there like, what do you think about Manuel? And then you talk about everything. You know, I mean, I was a diehard baseball card collector for years and years and years, obviously, and I could name every single. They'd be like, "What numbered card was, Mike Boddicker in the 1986 Topps thing?" I'd be like, "Card number 74," and then card number 75 was like a checklist. It was very, it was on the spectrum.
Number 12 was Dick Hauser, manager of the Royals. Rest in peace, Dick.
Yes,
and I love it, and it's certainly an era. And I'm a baseball fan now. I watch. I have a fantasy baseball team with my good friend Corey. It's National League only. So I still love, but there's just the way life works out. There is a certain era where all those details are still in my brain.
Yes, correct.
I'll struggle to tell you that I'm a Yankee fan. I don't know if I can name the Yankee starting pitching staff right now.
No, neither can I. I think you're 100% right about that. I think from like 1983 to about the time I first slept with a woman, which was probably like
84.
Yeah, 83 and mid 83. No, I think it was in probably 92 or something like that.
God bless you.
Years not getting anything past me from 83 to 92.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was it. I stopped collecting after that. Then the strike happened in 95. Disappeared from baseball. Not disappeared, but watched here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I moved...
94, 95 was where that strike. 96 is Yankee fan. I'm in. I'm grooved.
Same here. So I took like 2 or 3 years off, just not knowing much when Toronto won a championship and the Braves were winning. And I was like, But once the Yankees started winning and Sosa and McGuire started hitting the home runs again, I've been watching baseball for another 20 years straight. Now, I don't collect the cards, and I don't know every single person on the team like I used to.
I don't know the stats.
I don't know the stats like I used to.
Yeah.
But, I'll sit back and still watch every single Met game every single day. And whoever the Mets play, then I'll be like, all right, these guys are pretty good.
You're a Met guy, too.
Correct.
Right? Met guy.
We're just in bad shape. But
tell me.
Got 3 All-Stars.
I do have Pete Alfonso on my fantasy team. That's been
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso.
Yes.
Not Edgar
Polar
Alfonso.
Polar bear.
Yeah, Edgar Alfonso.
That guy's mashing the ball. And this guy McNeil, too. And this guy's leading batting.
It's
and
crazy.
they thought he wasn't even a major leaguer last year.
Absolutely. We were me and my co-owner were like we thought about picking him up, and we're like, nah.
That's what everybody thought.
Alonso we did, though.
They were either going to trade when they made the trade for Diaz, and Cano.
Yeah.
I mean, the trade was about Diaz, and Cano was just like, hey, you want Diaz? You're going to have to take
the big
$100 million here for a guy who's just done, and he's not a hustler. It's a bad trade. Yeah. They were going to give up McNeil or Kanelnik, or both,
right,
and Dunn. And I was like, this ain't going to happen. So they pulled McNeil out at the last second. If they would have gave McNeil up and Kanelnik and Dunn and Bruce and this other guy for Cano and Diaz who are tanking right now.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Not good.
It would have been over for Brody Van Wagenen.
But there's the baseball talk. And in fact, full disclosure, pulling back the curtain, a couple years ago, you and I we'd always have these conversations after Schmo shows, hanging out. And I was like, we got to do a podcast. And so we had a show idea we're going to do. I won't give the name away because we might do it. But at the time we thought about doing a weekly show during the season. And that's a bandwidth issue for me right now, especially I'm freelance on my own. You're working so hard. But I think you and I have to revisit this idea, Tom. And if the people listening like this, our brand of baseball conversation, it might be something you'll hear more of in the future. So we'll talk also, middle of the show, we'll take a little break. We also want to talk about your show, Little Bobby and the Juice, which is tearing up on YouTube in its own special way. That is definitely from your heart, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, it's just, I've had to figure out a way after all these, all these movements and all the new wave of the world went down. I can't say this stuff as a human, anymore. So
you have to find a
not that it was even that bad. It was just, you just can't speak truth anymore. You get crucified.
This is your truth conveyance.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then,
conveyance of the truth.
And I had a juice doll there and a couple of them. I actually had like 4 juice dolls. And I was like, this is
where did you get a juice doll, an O.J. Simpson doll?
I'm always a collector of like odd memorabilia.
Yeah,
like, you go to my house, I have some really interesting things, like all related to like cartoons and not necessarily movies, but just odd stuff.
Okay,
like Miyagi dolls and like stuff plush Stallone dolls, like stuff like where did you get that? Like even the mugs. Dating back to the mugs and all these other things.
Oh, it's Stallone mug,
yeah. And I was like, wow, I'm, searching for an African-American doll for some reason. I don't know what it was for. And I saw an OJ doll, like in the box with everything. Like it came with a canoe, like a weight bench and just football.
But what era? Like what was this?
1975.
So he hits the Bills and they're like, let's market OJ dolls.
He was in a Bills outfit.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to buy this. Then I bought another one. Then I bought another one. Then I was like, how can I do this? And it was originally going to be like just Bobby and just trolling. It was Bobby Finstock and his celebrity friends.
Yeah, Little Bobby, a doll based on your Schmo's character.
Right, exactly. And he would just go around doing crazy stuff. But then I was like, how can I parlay this? Because it needed a bounce board. Yeah. So I was like looking at the juice doll. I'm like, Little Bobby and the Juice. I'm just like, that's perfect.
That's it.
And it wasn't really about even, jumping on the OJ bandwagon or anything like that. I was just like, this doll is perfect because the person Bobby's talking to is always the brunt of the joke.
Yeah.
And is always, gets the bad stuff happen to him technically, and he learns the life lesson. So I think if you look at it down, if you break it down into like a purified morsel, that's what the show is about. It's not just using OJ because he's a famous alleged murderer. You know what I mean?
Right. It just I mean, you had the dolls, so you got to use them.
Correct.
It's out there on YouTube. YouTube channel. We'll talk about it at the end. But Little Bobby and the Juice is the channel, right?
Yes, Little Bobby and the Juice is the channel. It's and then it's on Twitter and everything like that at Little Bobby and the Juice, and same thing with Instagram and things like that. And the next episode we're in episode 5, which will be coming out hopefully next week if we get it done properly. We have a big star in it.
Nice.
And you guys will hopefully see that, and hopefully we don't get taken off the air or sued.
Wow, that's always a good thought going into the show.
Maybe we could. Who knows? I always thought if you get sued, you're a winner.
Yeah, you're doing something right.
No one is suing a loser. You know what I mean? It's not like you go outside and be like, "Hey, Willie, I'm going to sue you." Be like, for what? You know what I mean? For what? Mowing your lawn?
Sue me.
Out of here.
You can take my cans of soup that I have.
Exactly.
So
Please sue me.
Today's Life Ranked is. And this is definitive. This is the list. There's no debate if you're listening out here. Today's list on Life Ranked is the best all-time moments in Major League Baseball. We've got a lot of history of the sport going back to the 1860s. We got present day stuff. We got exit velocity tearing up. We got this game
launch angles.
Launch angles. This war, wins above replacement. All these stats I don't understand. I feel like I probably feel like my late grandfather did when they made saves a stat in '69.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if a pitcher can't finish a game, he's a loser.
Nolan Ryan threw 215 pitches in a 16-inning game at one time, and he won 1-0.
And that's not counting warm-ups between innings.
He probably
before the
threw
game.
400 pitches that day.
And his arm's still going.
Yeah.
He's tossing those footballs he used to do with the Rangers.
Yeah, in Upper Deck 89.
Upper Deck 89, indeed. So you can tell what kind of conversation, even if you're not a baseball fan, I think you're going to want to hear this list and enjoy this conversation. Trust me, you don't have to love or know baseball to get into what we're talking about. These are the best, the greatest, the all-time moments. Tom, you've brought in a list. I've got some honorable mentions. We're going to dive in here. Let's go with your number 5.
You know, to clarify with people, it's not about home runs and big home runs. It's not Bobby Thompson's hit around the world. It's not Buckner's thing. It's the oddities and
yes, these are the greatest
moments.
The greatest moments.
Off the field moments. Some on the field, some off. You know, and they have to be weird.
Love it.
I think number 5 is when Bill Veeck, who was an owner of a team, and he pitched, and he was a complete crazy person. He was in World War II. He had a wooden leg. He was a big drinker and smoker. He actually used to carve out holes in his wooden leg and make it an ashtray in his leg.
In his leg.
These dudes were serious and real.
Never leave home without it.
He was unbelievable, this guy. So anyway.
And his son, Mike Veeck, went on to more on Mike Veeck later.
Yeah, for sure.
So Bill Veeck.
So I think it was 1937. He was managing. No, I think he's owned a team, something like that.
Well, the incident you're talking about, I know the year, but
yes, is it 37?
No,
47.
1951.
Oh wow,
I thought it was earlier too.
Yeah, I thought so, but maybe
post-war.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
51.
Yes, he brought the dwarf up to bat.
Yes,
in a real major league game.
Yes. This little person, Eddie Goodell.
Yes, he was like, what was he, 4? Like
he
6 or something?
Was at 3 feet 7 inches tall, the shortest player in the history of the major leagues, which means this counted.
How do you get him on a 40-man roster? Like, how do you get him that quick on a 40-man roster? Or I don't even think it was at that point. I think it was just like, hey, because baseball, like, it was known for promotions before games, and we'll get into those things later, and after games. Now they just do fireworks and concerts, but there was like, Bill Veeck was doing like zombie limbo contests.
He was doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy sends the guy to the bat, and but before the game, he had him jump out of a cake in center field. Like, what? What kind of? This guy was a big drinker. He had an issue with it.
Yeah, Bill Veeck. And look, we are. I'm reading the note. Goodell came out of a paper mache cake between games of a doubleheader at Sportsman's Park.
Yes, that's where the promotions used to come to doubleheaders, because doubleheaders were a norm on Saturdays.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's play 2.
He said, Veeck said, he goes, if you swing at that ball, he goes, look up to the rafters.
Yes.
He goes, there's a sniper up there. You swing once, you will be shot dead on the spot. And the kid believed him. Or not the kid, he was a man.
Yeah, no, he was a man. And he worked as a riveter during World War II because he was able to crawl inside the wings. He was an agency, like an actor's agency. Veeck found him. This is, and we're using some terms that were probably more used at the time. Please be aware of that. Before the second game got underway, the press agreed that the midget in a cake appearance had not been up to Veeck's usual promotional standard.
I mean... Then the only other midget that could play was Lenny Dykstra.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fact.
No, but I think, with this guy, clearly he didn't swing. This couldn't happen in this day and age of baseball.
It would not be allowed.
No, it can't. It just wouldn't happen.
But
and this guy, it was unbelievable.
It's for the St. Louis Browns, which of course were a team, and that's why I keep going back to this. This was not a rookie league, independent league type of team. This wasn't for the Albuquerque Isotopes.
Yes, correct.
This was for a Major League Baseball team in the post-war era.
Yes, correct. That Bill Veeck owned. I think he owned the team.
He did own.
Sure. Yeah, the St. Louis Browns. Yes.
Yeah. Walked on 4 consecutive pitched balls.
Yeah, his strike zone, they said, was 1.5 inches. An inch and a half strike zone.
Jersey bearing the uniform number 1/8.
Yes. The only person who could have struck him out was probably Greg Maddox.
Right. Just Maddox would have painted the corner.
Yeah, painted the corner on a midget. Wowzers.
Painted the corner. Edward Carl Goodell, who was born in 1925, passed away in 1961. This is...
I would have loved to see that.
This was one of those moments growing up that I would read about, and even in the 80s, which was... Think about this. I'm born in 76. Mm-hmm. This is only 25 years prior. Mm-hmm. This is like, we're talking U2's Joshua Tree album is older now than this was.
It wasn't that long ago. You sit back, and my grandfather's, I watched that.
Yeah.
You know? I was like, wow.
This isn't like, 1902, Bill Veeck had an elephant play catcher. Like, this is not the case.
This guy, it was unbelievable. I don't think that ever happened again, and that's why it's number 5 on there. It's just something that can never happen again.
No.
It's too much, there's too many strings to jump through and red tape to sit back and have, a small person, midget, dwarf, or whatever you want to call them, come up to bat in a major league game again. Plus, nobody's throwing, if a midget gets up against Noah Syndergaard, throwing 102 mile an hour fastballs.
What Goodell's exit velocity on a hit ball would have been.
It's a dribbler.
So initially, Major League Baseball struck Goodell from its record book as if he had not been in the game. He was relisted a year later as a right-handed batter and left-handed thrower. No, of course, he didn't play in the field.
Yeah.
Finished his Major League Baseball career with an on-base percentage of course, 1,000.
Yeah, they pinch ran for him.
It's official. Yeah. Pinch run for
him. He's in the record books.
He's there. Pretty
amazing stuff, dude.
Baseball did kind of change a ruling and didn't allow that. But even then, that's kind of...
Well, Bill Veeck, what he also used to do was put... it was dead center field, right?
Right.
He had this kind of like mirror kind of like board that he used to move around.
Okay.
And he would move it around to the right and left-handed hitters because it distracted them. He had somebody moving something in the back, and people were like, okay, this is weird. And he would take it down when his team was up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then he'd put it back up again. And then next day they had a big rule saying you can't move stuff. And there was so many different rules because he wasn't breaking the rules because there's just no rules.
No, there's no rules.
That's what it was.
That's the thing.
And he was that guy.
Bill Veeck has that. There's a book about him. Veeck as in wreck. Truly one of the showmen of baseball. And this, therefore, because of its legacy, because of
wooden legacy.
Here's this quote from Veeck. This is in the 62 autobiography, Veeck as in wreck. Said of Goodell, he was, by golly, the best darn midget who ever played big league ball. He was also the only one.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. So Eddie Goodell, number 5 on your list of the best all-time greatest moments in Major League history.
Yes, no question about it.
You can already tell, folks, this list is not going to go the way you think it is.
No, definitely not. I would say number 4.
Number 4.
Apparently this drug does really good for you. Steve Jobs, apparently changed his life. Now people are microdosing it and curing depression and other kind of really interesting things. And this is, it's a Beatles made a song of it.
I know where you're going.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. You got a guy named Doc Ellis.
Good old Doc Ellis.
This guy pitched a no-hitter on LSD. I mean, on LSD. And a good team. And Doc he's a great pitcher.
Yes.
Crazy part about it, he wasn't even supposed to pitch that day.
He wasn't. Doc is great. I think you can still get on Netflix.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. Now, this guy was a great pitcher. This guy was a fireballer, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one picture of him, and they're yelling at him. They're like, Doc, got to pitch. He's like, he thought he was looking in at the catcher. He was staring into center field, like looking for signs to pitch. And they had to tell him to turn around. He said he was so dialed in that the ball was going wherever he wanted it to.
Yeah.
I believe that. I've never done LSD.
I haven't either.
I know people who have.
Okay.
Some people say it's fantastic, and it's like it
opens up your mind to a new level of pitching.
Right, and also pretty much just resets your mind. It like almost reboots your body.
Okay.
So he must have been throwing the ball just like feeling so loose.
Is it like blowing the cartridge of your video game life?
The Nintendo game. Yes, probably like that. Yeah. And then alcohol and with Q-tips and shit on my Nintendo. That's what I used to have next to it, a butter knife at all times. Rubbing alcohol, Q-tips, and obviously a chick on the side too.
Absolutely. June 12th, 1970, against the San Diego Padres. You're right, twilight doubleheader again. A lot more doubleheaders back in the day. And he went up to he lost track of the day. The game was on Friday.
He was driving big Cadillacs. This guy.
Yeah, he was up in Los Angeles visiting a friend and dropped LSD, quote, 2 or 3 times, thinking it was a Thursday. And he took a hit of LSD on Friday at noon. And his friend's girlfriend reminded him at 2 p.m. that he was scheduled to pitch that night. He flew from Los Angeles to San Diego, arrived at the stadium at 4:30 for a 6:05 start.
Wow.
Gets in there, can't see the ball or see the batter or catcher clearly. He says, I can only remember bits and pieces of the game. I was psyched. I had a feeling of euphoria.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what happens sometimes. I would call that the zone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a zone like that, he said he played every single ball he threw. Yeah. The catcher was like, everything was right where I targeted it.
You're seeing it on
right
another
there.
level.
Yeah.
He can't see the ball or the catcher clearly, but I bet he can see the stitching on the mitt.
Exactly.
On the glove.
Exactly. It's Wilson signed, whatever. I think, I always respected the games I played. I've never, I never played like high. I mean, I smoked weed and tried to play basketball once, and I was like, this is just not for me.
Not your thing.
Yeah, and drunk, never. Like I respect the game like that. I'm not like a weekend softball player who's like, let me crush like 30 beers and try to, do whatever.
Stop at second base for a shot.
I come to play when I play, and that's it. And I don't like disrespecting the game. But now, shit, I mean, should have did LSD.
Might as well drop it.
Probably would have went 7 for 7.
I always knew about Ellis growing up, and he went on to do a lot of things for...
He played for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And now he was a drug counselor because he was a raging alcoholic after that.
Yeah.
And
he did some great things with his life. He passed away a few years ago.
Yeah, he did.
Did great things for African-American players in baseball. Yes. Yeah, again, substance abuse problem. So, but he always talked about this openly. So we're not... this is quite a feat. We don't recommend it. If you've got a problem, maybe don't consider dropping acid before a game. But he used most of his life to counsel others with substance abuse, or substance abuse disorder. But what a crazy! I remember, like I said, I knew about Ellis growing up, but then this information didn't find me till a little bit later in my baseball fandom. When did you first know about this?
Not too long ago. Honestly, not too long ago. I was like, I think maybe they tried to hide it. Maybe it was like a stain on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, David Wells said when he pitched the perfect game was bloated the night before. He said he was wasted.
Yeah.
He said he had like three cases of beer or something crazy like that. Sometimes it just...
light night
it
for Wells.
Really, I know. Sometimes it really does put your focus there, I guess.
Yes.
My buddy, this guy Rich, in high school, was on LSD and ran back 4 kicks. Like 2 punt returns and 2 kickoff returns.
Never did it
again.
Play.
Yeah, exactly. Never did it again.
Rich plays over.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, I ran back 4 kicks. I was like, Jesus. And he goes, I was on LSD. Like, I don't know what. I don't want to advocate like somebody who's on the verge of doing something great to go on LSD here, because it really, honestly, I don't think it works for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't want you running around the bases and like ripping your face off or something like that.
Please don't. But, please don't. Yeah, don't do bath salts before you get into a football game.
God. But yeah, I don't know how he did that. But maybe you see things that are technically, or maybe you see 3. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But like I said, it started. Steve Jobs, same thing too. He said he enlightened his whole life.
Look, there's some results, I guess. I'll stick in my little closed-off, boxed-in world. But why I love this is on your list, because this represents a time. There's different eras of baseball, and there's always a tendency to look back and romanticize a lot of the things that go on in baseball. But it's real people. It's sports. Labor disputes started from the moment a shilling changed hands in the 1860s.
Sure.
That series, the documentary series, When It Was a Game, was great.
Ken Burns one?
Yeah, well, there's Ken Burns baseball.
Ken Burns.
There's the other one that was on HBO called When It Was a Game. And I love that idea, but I also don't think it's accurate. Yeah. I don't think it was ever just a game. It was a business. It always was. Different times, yes. In the early 1900s, it was gangsters and gamblers and ne'er-do-wells. Sure. The only chance to get out of your life, play some pro ball. That's one thing. But I love this represents this weird, trippy era of baseball.
Oh, the 70s?
Late 60s, early 70s.
Well, look at look at Oscar Gamble. Like his hat didn't even fit on him. His afro was so crazy.
Yeah.
But they had a style back then. Those guys were all drinkers. Those guys were all on greenies, which is the amphetamines and all
Clubhouse coffee.
Yeah, they are all. It was a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
And they took the game real serious. Now they didn't take their health that serious because most of those guys weren't in good shape.
Yeah.
Nobody looked like Mark McGwire in the 70s. Like there was like big guys like Dave Parker and but Bob Horner was like 400 pounds.
Yeah, Bob Horner had a beer belly and still hit 4 homers in one game.
Exactly.
I love the athleticism of the game now. Don't get me wrong.
But the authenticity is gone. Yeah. And, it's the same thing that happened to NBA. Everybody's friends. Everybody's this. The bench clearing brawls don't really go that crazy anymore. Like in 2002 with the Yankees, Red Sox, or the in I forget what 90-something, 97 or 98 with the Orioles and the Yankees when Strawberry was like punching people in the face. I mean, Armando Benitez threw 100-mile-an-hour pitch to the dead back of Tino Martinez's spine.
Tito! That one was great.
And Benitez didn't care.
He did not care.
And he was like, let's go, and that's it. These guys now, what I do applaud, there's still fire, and it mostly comes from the Latin players.
Oh yeah, so you can bat flip all day to me.
Oh yeah, of course. I don't care about the bat flip, and these guys will still hit people. Yeah. Look with Utley, when he crushed Tejada, right?
Yeah.
He was going to get hit the next time he faced the Mets, period.
That's as he should.
Yeah, and that was it. Syndergaard threw behind him, and then, you get the ass in a jackpot thing. When he's like, Terry, our ass is in a jackpot. I was like, what is he talking about? And, Terry Collins like, you cocksucker. Like, just going crazy. It was great. It was fantastic. And I never really liked Terry Collins that much, but then I was sitting sitting front row in the Dodger game, that game 5 of the NLDS in L.A., and I was on TV and I got like 30,000 texts of they were screenshotting. Is that you? And I'm like, yeah, I just hugged Terry Collins.
I'm waiting for
it. Was unbelievable stuff.
Waiting to.
Everybody's like, do you know him? And I'm like, no.
Waiting for Collins to bring it. I do remember that. It was
unbelievable.
And you're talking about 03 Red Sox Yankees, Zim versus Pedro.
Oh my God. And you know what? I'm not mad at Pedro. Zim came in like a bull in the china shop, and he got thrown off. That was it.
I'm a Yankee fan. I hate those Red Sox. I hated Pedro back then. I think he's great now. I love watching him on MLB Network. But I'll tell you what, I respect him for the fight.
Yeah,
because if Zim's going to respect you enough to charge you,
he olayed him. Like he just
punch him in the face.
He just bull thing. Whatever. And honestly, it wasn't really much. Zimmer came in
he
low.
Was an 80-year-old coach.
Yeah, Zimmer came in low and he just pushed him in the back of the neck and he flew off.
And I used to love. I think they did the Horatio Sands and SNL did the Don Zimmer fall for an entire season.
Amazing stuff
on SNL.
And he rolled over. You know what? No harm, no foul. He was in the dog park the next day betting on
personalities. And look, there's personality in the game now. We still love it, but I agree. It's sometimes a math equation. I ain't even knocking the new stats. It makes sense. If you're in a batting cage and you want to study down to the micro inch of how you swing a bat, I'm all for it. But I just love some of this stuff. And Doc Ellis pitching a no-hitter on LSD is your number 4 moment for a reason, which means we're up to your number 3.
Which is a great segue here of the characters in the game. Because I think this next one it's flew under the radar of how genius it was. I mean, just ultimately.
And by the way, this is the text you and I were texting yesterday.
Yes.
That I said I got to get you in on the mic.
Yeah, this is just complete genius on so many different levels, and this guy is such. Nobody really likes this guy. He is unliked. He's just unliked, but he's like my uncle lives in Stamford, Connecticut, and this guy he owns bars down there. This guy, and he lives down there, and he's the toast of the town. Everybody loves him.
I could see that though.
They just love him over there. He's just a fiery, he says what he means, but he's a dick.
And we'll reveal who he is in a second. But he was a top athlete. He was kind of was a good looking cat, outspoken,
Italian.
in this like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm so and so. But also kind of charming, and it all rolls together in this one incident.
Yes, it was. I think it was 99.
Remind you, folks, this is the list of the greatest all-time moments in Major League Baseball. You can't argue them. They're definitive.
This
is a definitive list. Yeah,
this would have been higher on my list, but the 2 other ones was just
June
outrageous.
6, 1999 in a 14-inning ball game, mind you.
Pat Mahomes Sr. is on the mound.
Yes.
Whose son is the probably number 1 overall pick in the fantasy and everybody's fantasy draft this year. And it happened. It was a pitch.
Yeah.
Mike Piazza, the Met catcher at this time.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did. He was throwing the ball and like tripped over home plate or something.
Something weird.
Got called for, it was deemed interference and you know, whatever, the guy got the base. Our guy, Bobby Valentine, Bobby V, comes out and argues. Now, he shouldn't have been arguing anything. Piazza looked like he was Kentucky two-stepping, and it was they're probably just like, I don't know what that was, but just go to first base, you know?
Yeah.
So, Valentine gets ejected, you know? Robert Ventura and Earl Hershiser are in the dugout. And they're saying Valentine, they're like, oh man, what happened? He's like, oh, Piazza, just do this freaking thing, whatever, do. Like, go back out there. Hershiser and Ventura, known for being jokers and clowns.
Right.
And, you know, obviously, you know, Rob Ventura, you know, he made a couple of bad mistakes. You know, one was charging Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, that's an honorable mention on our list.
Yeah, and he got destroyed.
August 4th, 1993 against the Rangers.
I think he just did it just to be like, you know, I'm going to go fuck with this guy.
Well, because to go on that tangent, Ryan is an aggressive guy. He hit him 100 miles an hour right in the back. Yeah,
and that was on purpose.
He's an old school Texas guy, and an old school New Yorker too, with those Mets in a way. So he did that. And Robin Ventura was born in Santa Maria, California, which is near my hometown. And so I used to see his wife at Little League games.
Underrated player
indeed. A big college star at Oklahoma State.
Yep.
So I never met Robin, but I had some people who knew him and talked to him.
Yeah.
And he was forever embarrassed about this moment, but he just kind of felt.
He's like, I got punched in the face by Nolan Ryan.
I started running, and I was like, this is a mistake.
And
And Nolan Ryan, 46 years old. Sidesteps him, headlocks him, and punches him like he's rustling a bull down. It's
how many
no-hitters
did Ryan have?
8? 7? And,
Seven?
Yeah, at least 7.
That would have been that was 8. Robert Ventura did not get a hit on him.
Did not.
So, all right, to segue back.
Segue back. Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Mets, is tossed from the game in the 12th inning.
Yes, 12th. Yes, he won 14. They won. I think they won whatever they won. So, he's in the back. Hershiser gives him his hat and a pair of sunglasses.
Hershiser does this.
Yes. Gives him a hat and a pair of sunglasses.
The bulldog.
And they're like, and he's like, just go back out there. No one's going to know it's you. You know, whatever. It's late. It's raining. You know, whatever. And he's like, I just need one more thing.
Yeah.
He finds this piece of the eye black that they use, the stickers.
Right.
Now, to me, it looked like a real mustache. And it looked like something like Ventura had in his bag when he used to do the rain delay stuff.
Yes.
You know, when he put a mustache on, it was Casey at the bat, him and Dempsey, whatever. They used to run around like Babe Ruth, whatever. So Valentine comes out, sits in a dugout behind Hershiser, and he's sitting there with the mustache, with the sunglasses, and the hat.
And it's not even a Mets hat.
No, it was like Hershiser's personal hat.
Yes.
And the sun. He's like, I can't wear sunglasses in the dugout. It's nighttime. And they were having a legitimate conversation about going out there.
Yes.
And I forever after that, Bobby V was my favorite.
Your favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm looking closely at the picture. It is definitely some Groucho Marx.
It's unbelievable.
Paint on his lip.
And then, you know, the fans were talking about it, and everybody else was talking about it, and then the announcers had to talk about it. They're announcing the game and laughing. Yeah. They're like, this is not... Bobby V is like, everybody had a good time with it, except the league officials. I think he was fined like 10 grand or something like that.
Oh, he was fined indeed.
But that being said, I've never seen anybody do something that amazing.
Oh,
it's. I mean, now you know people watch the game in the dugout, and they probably text now and make the shot calling and whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And, you know, if somebody gets obviously clear that the manager is can still manage from his office.
Yeah, that's usually
what ball boy comes in and goes, take this guy out right now. They go relay it to somebody. Boom, done deal. Yep. You know, I mean, easy, simple mathematics. And there's phones, bullpen phones. There's a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But to have the balls to do something like that. To me, was just unbelievable. It was so funny and so stupid.
In a major league game in the 90s, 99.
Yeah.
And the Mets were a good team.
Yes.
This wasn't like there's 12 people in the stands.
And they went on to win the wild card that year.
That's right. Next year in the World Series against the Yankees.
It was unbelievable that year. And it was like the rocker years. That's when the Mets and Braves were like neck and neck. The Mets were trying to knock these guys off their pedestal of 14, 16 years or whatever they won the division.
And he does it. And just sit in the dugout and just look on his face like, who, me? What?
Yeah, like he was like it was like just sitting there.
Strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, pretty much. It was, I like I said, for that to me, it's number 3. And just being a Met fan at that point, and it was in Shea Stadium, which was clearly better than the new stadium, Citi Field. Just for nostalgia purpose, the lighting was better. Something was just
it was just to it.
Yeah, it had a look to it, and especially in the playoffs, and especially when the game meant something. A night game, going into the night like that was just
Blues
amazing stuff.
Stood out in that stadium.
They really
Met
did.
Blue,
They did. This year, with Citi Field, they went with too much of that. A mix between like the Giants and the Dodgers and the Blues. They're just not as deep and like mesmerizing as they were.
Yeah, and I love these new stadiums. I love the modern marvels, but I'm glad all the cookie cutter AstroTurf stadiums are gone. I believe in change, but yeah, there's something about that with the plane flying over. I'm sure the planes still probably fly over Citi Field.
They do. They do. Hernandez would always step out of the box.
Yeah, Hernandez would.
He was like, step out of the box.
I read his book, his 85 autobiography about that
sure.
season.
So
and he talked about how...
Was it If at First or something?
He talked about how he had an escape plan for if a plane crashed on the stadium.
Oh, he was serious business. He was serious. But I mean, that to me, it was just... I've never seen a manager has never done something like that before, or they never got caught.
Well, that's the thing, because again, talking about like the Eddie Goodell thing being in 51, that's not too long ago when you and I first started watching baseball. But in 1999, this is something like I used to grow up reading stories of, John McGraw, Connie Mack sitting in the dugout with a suit. But like Huey Jennings, the third base coach, who would yell, hoo-ha! And all these weird, like quirky, Casey Stengel and all this stuff with he used to put a dove in his hat and go to home plate and do a magic trick.
Yeah.
And you got Bobby V with
just
painted on mustache.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And like I said, it'll go down in the history of baseball as one of the oddest, most crazy, just the most ridiculous things ever done. And I didn't know Hershiser was that guy. I knew Ventura was that guy.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I was like, the Bulldog's the best. Even though he beat the Mets in '88 and pitched like every single game and won every single game and like just hit everything. It was unbelievable stuff.
88 series is great. Great year of baseball.
Beat him 11 to 12 games in the regular season.
Absolutely.
It was unbelievable. We 88. We should have won the championship. We were a great team.
Oh yeah, my guy.
Everybody
Gary
was
Carter.
off coke. Everybody was doing good things.
So that is number 3 on your list. Bobby V.
Yep.
In the dugout
with a mustache.
Mustache and
it's like a clue thing. Bobby V with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
The eye black sticker tape.
Love it.
And a weird hat.
Love it, which means we're up to your number 2.
Oh, this is... Yeah, speaking of cocaine-fueled rages. Before I get into this one, the Hal McRae breakdown and when he was a manager that one year was unbelievable.
Oh, Hal McRae, manager of the Royals, throwing old rotary phones around.
Spinning around. Doing like pirouettes and stuff. It was amazing. Okay, but anyway.
Look up that one, folks. Hal McRae's breakdown.
Yes. And the reason why I'm saying his name, because this guy who did something was Hal McRae was his teammate at this time.
Yes.
Along with a bunch of other guys, Quisenberry, Willie Wilson, Jim Sundberg. Really great team. Great team.
Frank White.
Frank White. It's the old pine tar incident with George Brett.
This is one of the all-time greatest moments.
I was hoping
in life.
Our buddy Ken Kaiser, Kaiser's dad, Ken Kaiser, was the one who called it, but it was not. It was not.
It was Tim McClellan.
It was Tim
the
McClellan.
Plate umpire.
Yes, but they were because Kaiser used to do all the Yankee games.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
When I first met Kaiser, and for those who are fans of the movie Trivia Schmodown, Kaiser, the manager of Kevin Smets, first name John, his father, maybe a lot of you don't know, Ken Kaiser, the late Ken Kaiser, one of the greatest umpires in the history of baseball.
Oh, easily, no question about it.
Big personality.
They'd be like, "There's Kaiser out there." It was
he and Earl Weaver would go at it.
Rizzuto used to hate him too. He's like, "Kaiser making this guy is like bad calls." It was unbelievable. And he used to go to Ken Kaiser. Well, Kaiser was the Kaiser we know was telling me that him and Don Zimmer would go to the dog park like every day before the game and the dogs or races and stuff like that. And then they'd just go to the game and hang out.
We'll get Kaiser on the show because he's got some stories he's told us that
they're amazing.
I want him to share on air if he can.
If he can.
But he's shared stories about this guy, George Brett. The game, I think even if you're not a baseball fan, at least during a certain era, you knew about it.
Sure.
July 24th, 1983, Yankees and Royals. And Royals were one of the top teams for a long time, late 70s into the up to 85, and then won the series. Yankees would always be in the top echelon, but would struggle. 81, lose to the Dodgers in the World Series. So 83, they're in this weird spot. Mattingly was up, had a 25-game hitting streak at one point during the season.
Yes, he did. At this point. At this time.
At this point. But by 84 is when Mattingly becomes the Mattingly that baseball fans know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 84 and 85, he was untouchable.
Righetti, all these guys on the team. The Royals are down 4-3, I believe, right?
Yep, correct.
Ninth inning, top of the ninth.
Yep.
Rich Gossage, who was the closer before that what that word means.
He would throw 3 innings every night.
Yeah, come in.
Starter would come in, throw 6. Gossage would come in for 3 out.
Fu
3 innings
Manchu,
saves. 3
handlebar
innings
mustache.
saves. Yeah.
Great, wild energy behind his throws.
Big slider.
Loved Goose Gossage. Goose Gossage, one of the characters of the game. Serves up a gopher ball to George Brett.
Yeah, and Brett crushed this ball. This was like in the 3rd deck. It was a
Old
bomb.
Yankee Stadium.
It was a bomb. And, you always hear these things about these pine tar and, like, they'd always measure it and, like, it was just bullshit. It's like, and obviously they come to find out it means nothing.
Yeah.
It's like stickum or something on a grip. Like,
Yeah,
it does nothing for you. It's not steroids. You know what I mean? So, you still got to hit the ball regardless. So Brett crushes this ball. He's rounding the base. Billy Martin, the character that he is.
Love the late great Billy Martin.
Oh boy, what a guy! This guy, he's fired 9 times.
I think he
was the Yankee manager like 9 times.
Yeah,
like, how does that happen?
Yeah,
that will never happen in this kind of day of age ever. He would fire him, then like rehire him like 2 days later.
One of the saddest days of my life as a baseball fan, December 25th, 1989. Billy Martin dies in a truck crash. He was a passenger,
which is crazy.
Craziness, crazy because he probably would have managed again. Like
he probably would have.
Steinbrenner loved him and hated him.
Oh my god, and he
was a great manager for the A's and Billy Ball in the early 80s,
and the Rangers. I think he managed as well.
Yeah.
He was. It was funny. He was very charismatic for sure. I mean, he used to drink in a dugout. Him and Reggie Jackson used to like fight.
That's one of the greatest moments. 77, I believe.
Yeah, they had Piniella on that team. All these guys were fiery guys, dude. This was a good Yankee team. And Nettles and Munson, all these guys. So,
so Brett
homers.
Royals are going to win the game. They do end up winning the game.
Billy Martin comes out.
Well, yeah, sorry, that's right. You're right. The inning didn't even continue.
Yeah, no.
You're right. You're right.
Billy Martin came out
right then,
and he was like, they start putting the bat on home plate because that was the measuring tool.
17 inches.
Yeah, something like that. It had, if it was over home plate, you're illegal.
You can't have pine tar from like the handle to like past the trademark. There's you have to have
that blue line that used to be on the bats or whatever it was, and a little bit past that on the trademark. Now you could dip the whole thing in pine tar if you want to. You just can't use it as a pitcher like Michael Pineda did one day. So anyway, they're measuring it. They're all like huddling. Yeah. And you see Brett in the dugout, like he's like, I don't know, he's huffing and puffing.
Got some chaw in his mouth.
He's looking for something.
Brett was a fit dude.
Oh yeah, of course he was.
Like him and Brian Downing were the only ones lifting weights.
Yes, that's correct. And Brett was a great hitter. He almost hit 400.
I love 390 in
that's
80.
crazy. Yeah. What it was unbelievable. So taking away from that, Brett, a great hitter.
Yeah.
Fantastic player all around, Hall of Famer, and a great GM and everything. Yeah. So, I mean, shit his pants the one time while playing third, too. Yes. It's amazing. This guy loved cards and loved to play, gamble, and everything. Yeah. Just typical what you wanted in a baseball player.
Yeah.
The umpire goes over there with the bat. And just gives the out signal. I've never seen anybody. He was waiting to run out of there.
That's why it's the best.
He ran out of there like a complete lunatic. Like his eyes were bulging out of his head. Yeah. I mean, it looked like he was just like did a ton of cocaine.
Yeah.
Comes out of there.
Storming out. Like arms and legs akimbo.
I think he caught himself at the last second.
Right.
Because he didn't run into the umpire.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to just steamroll him down. So I think something cooler heads must have prevailed. He's probably like, I look like a psycho right now running out here. I'm going to stop before I get suspended.
Yeah. Because I remember an interview with him, and he says, I was in the dugout, and I was watching them, and I said to my teammates, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
They called me out, I'm going to kill him.
And that's exactly what he was saying, and that he was doing, huffing and puffing. And when he did it, he went out there. Like I said, I've never seen anybody.
It's the best.
If anybody came at me like that, I'd run.
Yeah.
Regardless of where it was. If I was like in the Ralphs and I said something to like one of the guys stocking shelves and he came at me like that, I would run the other way, regardless of how big I am or he is.
Tobacco juice dripping out, flying out.
It was one of the biggest spectacles I've ever seen, and it was all over the news. Obviously, it was a Yankee game, things and that.
And Martin had this kind of plan, but in a way, they were waiting for it.
Yes, they were waiting for it because apparently it was being said.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happens all the time. They're like, we hear Sosa's using a cork bat. We hear Billy Hatcher's using a cork bat.
Mike Scott's got an Emory board.
Right, exactly. There's
Joe Necro's got an Emory board.
And then, before like social media and other things, like now people are getting caught like red-handed, like Pineda. They're like, dude, this guy's got fucking pine tar all over his neck. Like it's blatant. Yeah. And then the one guy had Vaseline on his arm, little jalapeno here, do. Same thing with Major League. Yeah. Look, anything to get an advantage if it's small like that. They show like people spitting on the ball. There's so many different rules about baseball that people don't know. You know, you can't blow on your fingers. You can't do this. You can't do that. There's so many different things you can't do. Now, the rosin bag is there to dry your hand, especially if it's raining or whatever the case may be. You clear your spikes, you could do this. But I mean, you know, Vaseline, emery boards, sandpaper, you know, the Phil Necro thing where or Joe Necro, and he's taking it and rips it, it falls right out of his pocket. I mean, it's hilarious.
87, I believe. 87, 88.
Yeah, he was on the Braves.
He was on the Twins.
Twins.
That's the greatest one. So Joe Necro was his brother. Phil Necro was a Hall of Fame knuckleball pitcher, pitched for like 50 years.
Yes,
Necro wasn't as good, but he was good. I think he threw a knuckler too.
He did, yeah.
He gets caught, so the umpires, and they're talking, so he reaches his hands into his back pocket and kind of pulls his hands out like, what? Who, me? There's nothing here. In doing that, he grabs the emery board and flicks it, and another umpire who's not even in the discussion has got his hands around his mouth and looks and is like, well, what is that?
Yeah, and he goes, picks it up.
And they're like, Joe, you got an emery board.
And he, boom, done out of the game.
I love that
stuff.
The
crazy thing is, so they protested the game.
Yes, the Yankees and Royals did.
They replayed it 25 days later. Okay.
Yes.
Martin, probably drunk and pissed, had Ron Guidry in center field.
A pitcher, folks.
Which
Louisiana Lightning, Ron
in
Guidry.
Center field.
Yes.
He had Mattingly at second base.
It's a left-hander, which means I think he becomes the first player to play second base as a
1970.
70. Sam McDowell, pitcher,
correct.
who was alternating back and forth.
Correct. Yeah. You don't put it. I think that's the one place I've never played on the baseball field because I'm left-handed. And
you can't do it? You're one of those.
I was never a second baseman ever.
You can't be a catcher, too. There's only been like 2 or 3 in the leagues.
I was never really a catcher either.
Benny DeStefanzo for the Pirates, and there was a White Sox catcher who was left-handed.
Really? Yeah, it's just something about it. Because it's like,
and even then, by the way, they caught a couple games.
The thing is, you're throwing left-handed. I think, was Biggio left-handed? You know who's left-handed? Bryce Harper. That's why they moved him. He was a catcher. They moved him out. Obviously, you don't want to prolong his career anyway, but still. That being said, 25 days later, Mattingly's playing second base. They had
Jerry Humphrey was in center field for the Yankees. Wasn't even on the Yankees. He'd been traded. Yes,
there was a couple of guys who were traded that weren't even on the team anymore.
Yeah, George Brett doesn't go. So they have to.
He didn't even go to the game.
The Royals have to fly to New York in front of like 10,000, maybe 100 people. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. Empty stadium and play an inning.
Yes,
you have to play an inning of baseball.
Correct. Brett was reportedly in an airport playing hearts with like people who worked at the airport. I was like, what in the world? Do you know who was on second base?
As a runner?
As a Royal.
I do not know.
When Brett homered.
Was it Frank White?
No, close. He has a 2-letter first name.
Oh, my gosh.
And the last name of a president.
Really?
The first president.
Oh, UL Washington.
UL Washington.
UL Washington was.
UL Washington.
That's why Tom and I are friends, folks.
Yes.
None of us looked it up.
Yeah, UL Washington. So basically, like I said, the Yankees wound up losing the game.
Yeah.
And Mattingly, just for that inning, was counted as a game and lost his 25-game hitting streak.
Oof. Billy Martin didn't give a damn.
He didn't care about anything. And in future episodes, we talk about top 5 something. Billy Martin's on the top 5 managers of all time, or just general characters of the game. We might not have to look further than the Yankees.
Yankees.
That's it.
We could do just the greatest Yankee crazies of all time. That is a great number 2. We got number 1, got some honorable mentions. We're going to take a quick break here on the Napzok Files, and Tom and I are going to talk baseball during the break and baseball on the other side of this. This has been a lot of fun. More to come here on Life Ranked on the Napzok Files podcast feed. We're back here on Life Ranked on the Napzok Files podcast feed. This is a Life Ranked show, but this is clearly going to lead to something else because this has been some of the most fun I've had in a long time talking my version of baseball memories with someone who gets it. This is Life Ranked with Ton Dagnino. I hope you're watching his show, Little Bobby and the Juice on YouTube. A lot of fun. And, Tom, you're a controversial figure in a lot of circles, but I think hogwash to that. You just see a certain plane of existence that others sometimes don't. and I love being on it with you.
I appreciate that. I really firmly believe that. I speak the truth, man. You know, I exaggerate here and there, but I just, you know, I do things to make other people's lives better. And
you do.
I try to make their lives better and try to make them see things in a different way. And, you know, maybe, you know, try to lead every once in a while rather than follow. It's like, follow. And that's what I think Bobby and the Juice does. It's like gives you a little aspect on life. And, you know, before we get into number one here, it's real interesting stuff. It's like, you know, some people come up to me like, hey, man, I really appreciate, you know, you said this about how to approach a woman and talk to her. The guy was like, I never really know how to talk to women. Now I just use your approach, and now I got a girlfriend and this and that. And he goes, I really thank you for that.
Spreading love in the world.
Yeah, and I was like, I appreciate that, man. It's, you know,
you're the best, man.
There's purified morsels that go out there, and you know, some of the stuff I say is nonsense. Sometimes it's long-winded, but in there is what you're looking for if you're going to listen to what I have to say.
Absolutely, and we are saying a lot about baseball. We are going over the greatest moments, the all-time greatest moments in Major League Baseball history. It's a definitive list. You can't argue it. We are giving you the list, and we got number 5 was Eddie Goodell, the little person batting in 1951 for the St. Louis Browns. Number 4, Doc Ellis, pitcher for the Pirates, throwing a no-hitter on LSD in 1970 against the Padres. Number 3, Bobby V, the manager of the Mets, getting tossed out in the 12th inning, returns to the dugout in the 13th in a disguise.
It's
when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
Number 2, the greatest outburst in the history of Major League Baseball, George Brett, the Pine Tar incident. One of the things we didn't talk about is Gaylord Perry, the pitcher of the Royals at the time, who was a famous doctor of the ball,
spitballer, everything,
steals the bat and runs back to the dugout.
Yes.
Grabs it from McClellan and the other umpires, and McClellan goes chasing him into the clubhouse.
It was full shenanigans.
Did you ever hear the story of Joey Bell, the Indians, Albert Bell, excuse me, I still remember his 89 Donruss, Joey Bell. Albert Bell, big masher, rumors his bat was doctored and maybe more, but the bat gets, they go to investigate it, and it gets put in the umpire's locker room. And in India, I can't forget what player the Indians goes into the goes into the air ducts, and they do like a Mission Impossible espionage to switch. They switch bats.
Yep,
like Indiana Jones and the Raiders Lost Ark.
I have a episode of Bobby and the Juice coming up where Bobby sells cork bats on the internet.
Oh, that's the best.
And the FBI gets involved.
That's the best. See,
it's just good stuff.
I apologize to you, sir. I want to publicly apologize. You gave me a script shortly after I got laid off and told I'm not worth employment by 2 companies on the same day. And you were like, hey, man, I can't offer much, but how about you want to do a voice of my show? And I read the script, and I was afraid of it. Yeah, I was afraid that I'd never work again. I apologize to you, sir, because you might have something great going. And if you ever have me back,
totally.
I'll love
hey,
it.
it's you know, you got the best voice.
Little Bobby and the Juice on YouTube. But let's talk Major League Baseball. Before we get to number 1, we always like to run through on this show and the sister show to this, Star Wars Ranked on ForceCenter, some other moments that maybe didn't make the list of the greatest all-time moments, or I guess I should say the all-time greatest moments in Major League Baseball history. What are some of your honorable mentions? I have a couple on this list too.
You know, Roger Clemens throwing the bat at Piazza in the 2000 World Series.
That
like
is
what? He's throwing a full that is
batshit.
It's a weapon.
It was a shot. That
hits Piazza and bounces up. You know how bats bounce.
Yeah.
That thing bounces up and punctures his appendix or his lung or his kidney. I mean, it's not even. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility. Clemens was such a steroided crazy person.
He would occasionally work out. I think towards the end of his playing days, or even just right after, he'd work out at a 24-hour fitness on Ventura Boulevard that my roommate, my old roommate at the time, Santini, would go, and he would be there. And he said Clemens he'd do like arm curls with like 50s, and he'd throw them, not leave them on the ground scattered. That's bad enough. He'd throw them and just walk out.
Yeah.
He was insane.
He was, my buddy's like, hey, Roger. He's like, it's Rocket. And he's like, hey, Mr. Clement, he's like, it's Rocket. You call me Rocket or that's it. And the guy was like, all right, dude, fucking relax.
And I loved him. I got it. But
he was one of the best pitchers of all time. His split finger. But I mean, he wasn't on the juice in 86, 87.
No.
But then when, Boston let him go and he went to Toronto and won like 13 Cy Youngs in a row. Yeah. But you saw the guy, he just turned like bloated and bigger and like, what he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? Whatever. Everybody,
we could do a conversation about
Yeah.
that. I don't condone it. I get it. I consider it unfair advantaging, maybe more than even saying the word cheating. I just don't care as much.
Same here. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like Barry Bonds was putting the ball into stratosphere.
Yeah.
Look, I've always said this. All sports were doped up. Everybody was doped up. Like
All
Lance Armstrong was doped up, but so was every other cyclist.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. The old
Exactly.
saying goes. Yeah.
People, the way I looked at it, you were just the best at being doped up.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't clean players.
There was some,
like I
but
said,
very rarely.
I don't condone it. I don't know how you address it to children.
Yes.
That's why I don't sit there and go, yeah, steroids were a good thing. I'm telling you, and it's serious because I came up in the pro wrestling world for a little bit, dabbled it all the time. I didn't do steroids or HGH. But I'd be in locker rooms with just guys casually going, "Oh, you on your cycle? What week are your cycle?
No, of course.
Oh, can I get this there?"
And you
And
get the Russian D-ball from.
yeah. It
Or
was
the Winstrol or whatever. They're like, I'm cycling up, and then I'm going to cut down with Winstrol and all these other things.
It's commonplace. I don't know.
I was in high school. The track and field team were all on fucking steroids.
It's a
I'm like,
weird
you're 18
spot.
years old doing steroids?
And watch the documentary Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Yeah.
I don't know if it could change your opinion if you're very anti-drugs. I haven't done LSD, cocaine. I haven't even smoked a joint. My drug of choice is whiskey. Occasionally, I didn't even start that till late in life. I'm a very clean living person, other than the donuts.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, when I turn on my TV, I don't care.
No.
Hit a ball far.
That's it. That's all that matters. And like I said, I've known people who have done steroids. I mean, you could be like Lyle Alzado, who's, rest in peace, but he's putting like 30,000 steroids in his body. Yeah. Or you could just go on like a full cycle and be good about it. And it's human growth hormone, and it'll become commonplace in 20 years anyway. It doesn't really help you recover technically per se, but you only do it when you're healthy.
Yeah.
Don't do it to recover and all these other. That's bullshit. Those are bullshit stories.
All that to say leads to this great moment. It's an honorable mention.
Correct.
Clemens throws, because he and Piazza had heat. He had hit Piazza in the head early in the season.
Correct.
They go to the World Series. The whole stadium was filled with tension.
Knew it was going to happen, but he threw a bat, and McCarver and Buck are like, what in the world is going on?
I mean, Joe Buck actually woke up for like 5 minutes.
True, but he didn't get thrown out of the game. You're throwing a weapon, a weapon at somebody. It might as well have been a knife.
Piazza's bat breaks, and fate, the force, the biggest part of the bat, the biggest shard, and I've never seen a bat break like that.
No,
very rarely.
Yeah,
goes right to Clemens, and he picks it up and throws it at him.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Here. So that is an honorable mention there.
Correct.
I got some here. I think we both enjoy this moment. May 26, 1993, in a game against Cleveland, Carlos Martinez hits a fly ball to the outfield, and Jose Canseco goes back to field the ball. Yep. The ball hits his head, bounces off for a home run.
And that was like pretty much the end of Canseco's career.
Where were you when you saw the Canseco home run ball?
I met Jose Canseco once in 1988 or something like that. He was at
40
He was at this Three Little Bears hobby shop in Jersey. I'm like, how the fuck did you get Canseco to come here?
Is Madonna there?
Yeah, I think he was. He was playing against the Yankees or something like that.
Yeah,
and I had him sign the rated rookie card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great card. 86 Dunners. Beautiful card.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was just, you could tell, he was just a pompous. He was so big, pompous doofus.
His wife, Esther Canseco, at the time, was in the red leather dress in the 88 World Series.
Unbelievable stuff.
Excuse me, 89 during the earthquake strike, stoppage. That's on my list.
His head. It was great. Yeah. Another one of mine is, Dale Berra and Bobby Meacham in 85, I think it was, the Yankees. Ricky Henderson hit the ball.
Ricky hit the ball
to like left center, yeah. Meacham misjudged it, slipped. Dale Berra was not caring. Either he thought it was going to fall or didn't care.
Dale Berra, son of legend Yogi Berra.
And that's the only reason why I think he was on the team.
And not a distinguished career.
Because Berra and Billy Martin are friends. Yeah. And I think back in those days, it's like, or not even back, when you're younger, say you own a deli and your buddy owns a deli, be like, oh man, look, Ken, can you give Tommy Jr. a job here? He's nothing. Just let him in.
He'll slice your meat.
Yeah, slice your meat. He'll clean up in the back. He just needs a job. He needs to get off the streets.
Yeah.
And Dale Berra was that guy.
Yes.
Billy Martin's like, all right, Dale,
third base.
I'll put you on the team.
Pirates, Yankees.
Yeah, I'll put you on the team.
So Meacham, who's a shortstop,
middle
infielder, the Jeter of his time, not so much.
Not so much. He couldn't hit for anything.
he and Bear are racing towards Carlton Fisk at home plate, right?
Yes, right.
Was it Fisk or was it Joel Skinner?
100% Fisk.
Fisk, okay.
Yep, 100% Fisk. And the third base coach was Gene Stick Michael, who later became the GM of the
manager
architect
at one
of
point,
that.
He was
the core four and them guys. Yeah. So Jeter, Pettit, Posada, and the other guy, Bernie Williams. The way I look at it, it might have been the biggest boneheaded play of running the bases of all time.
One of them, yeah.
Other than, what's his name, from San Francisco, who was also a Yankee at one point. I think his last name was Rivera or something like that. Did you ever see this?
Ruben Rivera?
Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
Ruben Rivera.
Yeah.
The base running thing he did in San Francisco was the worst.
I can't recall
He
that one.
went past second, went back to second, missed second, went back to second, then was thrown out at third. And the guy was like, that was possibly the worst base running of all time. Google it. It's on YouTube. You watch it.
Yeah.
The guy looks like he's going to run down with himself. Which is
rundown.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It's like me on video games where I press the wrong button, my player starts running,
and then
I'm no!
and they go different ways. Exactly. But needless to say, Dale Berra and Bobby Meacham were both thrown at the plate simultaneously within seconds. Within probably, and Carlton Fisk was waiting for another one. Maybe Ricky was going to come around.
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah. So, but the crazy part about it, Fisk had the ball in his hand and his glove in the other one.
Yeah.
If you look, he didn't touch him with the ball. He touched him with the glove.
The glove?
Yeah. So technically they're safe, but the umpire's probably like, you losers. Out and out. Get out of here.
Yogi's kid. Go to the bench.
And then later on, Berra got, I think it was later on that night or a couple of days later, Dale Berra was charged with like public urination.
He had some issues.
Yeah,
he's also part of that mid-'80s cocaine
there was
racket.
There was a lot of things with Dale going on.
Yeah,
but
mid-'80s baseball was
So it was
interesting.
more than just them getting thrown out at home plate. It was just...
It was indicative of the Yankees' time.
How much an idiot Dale Berra was. And then the last one before we get into the real thing was...
Okay.
I don't know if you know a guy named John Rocker.
Crazy racist rocker.
Wowzers. I mean, he was like... what he was saying about the 7 trains sitting next to AIDS victim. I mean, it's like, wow, dude. It was crazy. And he was a great reliever at that time. And after that, his career was basically over.
Done, yeah.
Even in Atlanta, they're like, dude, this is bad.
Yeah.
So he was suspended, I think, for like a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I went to it was like the first Brave game after he was reinstated at Shea Stadium.
Yes.
The security was so thick. Like, I think they had 2 barrels full of batteries that were going to get hauled at this guy. They're like, they were just saying, like, anybody does this, anybody does that. When he got up in the bullpen, and they were winning,
dangerous,
it was pandemonium.
Oh, no.
It was so bad. Batteries were flying still.
Yes,
they were probably just jocking batteries or whatever.
I'm sure some of the cops were like turning their
balls
back.
were. Oh yeah, of course, of course. Balls were getting thrown. It was the craziest thing I've ever witnessed at a baseball game. And I was in, and we sat on the third base side on purpose
to get to
see him run in because the bullpen was the visitors' bullpen.
He was great, but he's one of those kind of all the negative stereotypes of athletes that might be out there. Rocker represented a lot of it.
Oh, all of it.
A lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was something else.
Fitting
he was in Georgia.
Yeah. A long running feud with one of the great, I think, modern baseball writers, sports writers, Jeff Pearlman.
Yeah.
You ever read Pearlman's book, The Bad Guys Won, which is the story
the Mets.
The 86 Mets.
Yeah, great book. I have it in my car.
Yeah, Favre. It's got one I got to get a hold of now about the USFL, which also goes into Trump and how he ruined the USFL. It's interesting stuff. So that's your list. I got a couple on mine here before we get to the big one. These are the greatest, the all-time greatest moments in baseball. Any Rick Dempsey rain delay performance. Dempsey was this catcher, but he had a substitute teacher math mustache. Played baseball for 24 years in the major leagues. Finished with the Dodgers.
Earl Weaver Orioles.
Started with the Yankees, goes to the Weaver Orioles, wins the World Series. I think he was World Series MVP in 1983.
Yes, he was.
Then wins a title again with the Dodgers, backing up Socha. Played 1 year with the Indians. Finished up. Go back to the Orioles at one point, finished up scoring like 92, 93.
He loved rain delays.
Dempsey was a character. The game has characters, and anytime there was a rain delay, he'd stuff his jersey, sometimes just go out in his underpants.
Yes.
And stuff his jersey, looked like he had a big beard, and he'd just run around the bases like an old clown and slide into home on the tarp that was covering the field during rain delays. Those are some of my best memories.
And it was always on This Week in Baseball.
Yeah, and we'll do a character edition. We'll talk about Steve Lyon pulling down his pants. Another great moment.
Oh yeah,
another great all-time greatest baseball moment. Daryl Strawberry and Keith Hernandez getting in a fight in spring training.
Yeah.
March 3rd, 1989.
They had a rough
team
summer.
photo day.
They had a rough summer.
Team photo day.
Daryl was just...
He was upset at his contract.
Yes, correct.
Keith Hernandez and Gary Carter were overpaid.
Yep.
They were at the twilight of their career at this point.
Yes, correct. And again, it went off, and Keith's not one to sit back and take
He's going to smoke a cigarette in the dugout.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to tell Daryl to go. I think he told Daryl to grow up or something like that.
He did, because so they had this. Hernandez was 17, Strawberry number 18.
Correct.
So the photographer, the people putting together, go, we need you to sit together.
Yes.
Because we're going to go in sequential order there. And Strawberry's like, I'm not sitting next to this overplayed bum. And Hernandez goes, grow up, you child, and you baby, and a fight ensues.
Yes.
They don't make
amazing.
a lot of contact, but you got Bobby Ojeda, the late great Bobby Ojeda. You had Terry Leach.
No, Bobby Ojeda's still alive.
Is Ojeda still alive?
Yeah.
I thought he survived that accident.
Two other guys. Yeah, Terry Crews and the other guy.
Steve Olin.
Steve Olin, yes.
That's right. Ojeda did survive. Sorry, Bobby. Terry Leach, and then you got Carter. Everyone holding back these Dwight Gooden's there. Doc Gooden.
Yep. It was everybody.
It was the first moment.
Dykstra and
Wally Backman
Wally
probably
Backman,
there.
Mookie Wilson.
Howard Johnson was there. Davey Johnson,
Kevin
the manager.
Elster.
Kevin Elster, good-looking man. Davey Johnson, not a good-looking man.
No.
Yelling at the press, put this in the papers. Why don't you put this picture in the papers?
It was amazing stuff.
It was the first time as a young baseball fan I realized that they all don't get along.
No.
That it's like any
not at
job
all.
you have.
Yeah.
There's 12 guys you like and 6 you hate.
Yeah, you deal with them, but that's it.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty much the way it went.
A couple other moments. Al Roboski, I think it's the late 80s.
Al, the Mad Hungarian.
Mad Hungarian pitcher for Cardinals, Braves. It was a closer when, again, that definition of what a closer has changed over the years. But he's a relief guy, and he was kind of crazy. And the umpire, Bob Engel, pitcher, he asked for, Roboski asked for a new ball. So he tosses it back to the umpire. But before he can toss it back to the umpire, Bob Engel, flings a ball back at him. So this standoff ensues, and at one point, Roboski, he wants another ball, and he rolls it on the ground slowly, and Engel throws another one out there, and it's a great standoff. I was scared of him.
He never knew where the ball was going to go with the guy, and he was
left-hand pitcher.
That's the thing. Back in those days, those umpires, they were tough guys too. You don't fuck with them.
You don't mess with Harry Wendelstedt.
No,
Wendelstedt tells
those
you,
guys are big, strong guys.
I was rewatching the Kirk Gibson '88 World Series moment on another list that probably rank high, not our list.
It's close. It's number 2 on my list
on the all-time baseball list.
Yeah, I think everybody knows what number 1 is.
Well, yeah. Well, we know what this is the real list, but on some other phantom list.
Yeah, phantom list.
Mike Davis still second base, and Gibson had come across the plate, and Ron Hasse gets up to throw, and he kind of clips Gibson.
It could have been interference. It could have been like the Piazza thing.
Yes,
Tommy Lasorda comes back, argues, and then wears a mustache.
Hasse goes to complain, and Harry Wendelstedt's just like, not today,
nope,
kid.
not today.
Not today.
Well, he said he had the base stolen.
Yep.
He's like, base was stolen.
Base was stolen.
Yeah.
Get back. Crouch
That's
back
the way
down.
it pretty much went. And guess what Ron Hasse did?
Yeah.
Crouch back.
My final, and this is what I knew the show would be, my final honorable mention for the all-time greatest baseball moment, 1970 All-Star Game, Riverfront Stadium. Pete Rose, the disgraced Pete Rose, round second base, looking to win the game. Ray Fosse, who eventually would go on to be a great color man for the Oakland A's radio broadcast. He was a catcher for the Cleveland Indians. Stands in Rose's way. Rose knocks him down, breaks his collarbone, which Fosse didn't know about for a year or so.
Yes, correct.
The injury lingered that long, kind of essentially ruined his promising all-star career
he
as
was
a
done.
catcher. He was done. He played ended up with the A's.
Supermaned right into him. Just like he left his feet and just crushed his life, and was like getting high fives for it.
Yes.
The game was a different game back then. Now it's the Buster Posey rules. You don't even really know what to do anymore. And I get it.
Yeah.
But nobody really, yes, Fosse was injured and bad, but nobody else really got injured.
Ruined.
Yeah, nobody else really got that crazy. But now these guys are so big. They're coming in. It's tough.
The speed of the game has changed. The size, the ability to just naturally get bigger and fitter. They are more. Boog Powell used to eat some barbecue and play first base from the Orioles and was a big player.
And they would drink. And
Ted Kluszewski for the Reds and the White Sox would roll up his sleeves and he looked like a bodybuilder. He was probably $180.
Yeah,
the game's changed, so I understand. I don't want people losing their well-being over it. So
sure,
I don't look at this and say this is how it should be.
But a collision at the plate was you always be like, there's going to be a collision here.
And this is the All-Star
Especially
game.
the third base. It was the All-Star game.
All-Star game. Nowadays, it's a glorified...
It's supposed to be an exhibition.
MTV Rock and Jock.
Oh, yeah, of course. Pretty much what it is now.
And Pete Rose came to play. Charlie Hustle.
He always came to play.
I got some opinions of Charlie Hustle, negative and positive. I think he did what he did and signed an agreement with A. Bartlett Giamatti. I can't. You got to do it, but I loved watching him play. I really did.
He was.
So
he was theatrics.
That's
and,
yeah.
It was Marge shot.
Marge shot. That's another great moment. Marge shot.
Openly liked Hitler. Openly would be like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Smoking cigarettes, drinking in the front row. And another one, one of the first, kind of like owners that actually was like, I'm calling the shots here.
Marge shot. Marge call the shots. Female, one of the only female owners in the history of baseball.
Like openly spewing Rachel epithets, like at the stadium. She
looked like a character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
For sure.
And her big dog, Shotzi, who would go take shits on the field.
Yeah, I mean.
And the Reds players for the time would be like.
Couldn't do anything. She had a big red machine. They were winning championships.
So that's some of our honorable mentions. Yeah. This now, we've worked our way up to number 1 on the list, the definitive list, Tom Dagnino's the all-time greatest moments in the history of Major League Baseball. Tom, what do you have?
Look, the 70s were big for all kinds of different
personality.
all kinds of different music. Yeah. In Comiskey Park in Chicago, there's a blue collar city, clearly. Yeah. They didn't like disco. No. And this is a testament of how much they didn't like disco.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff here. And this is called The Disco is Dead Party. I had a doubleheader as well.
Doubleheader.
In Comiskey Park. Owner of the team, Bill Veeck.
Yeah.
Of midget getting up to bat
Eddie
fame.
Goodell.
Basically, this radio DJ Dahl something. I forget his last name. I forget his first name. It was Dahl, D-A-H-L.
Yes, Steve. I think it's Steve Dahl.
Yeah, Steve Dahl.
Steve Dahl.
Big radio
Chicago
personality.
shock jock. Yep. An anti-disco campaigner.
A big time. Big time. So they were only averaging 7,000 people at a game, which is almost like basic. Tampa Bay does that. Whatever. It's a ghost town. Chicago was terrible back then. I mean, these guys were dressed in shorts and collared shirts. It was really interesting uniforms. It was they were in disarray. Yeah, nobody was coming to the games. It was what it was. They're sliding on dirt. What do you have shorts on? Yeah, what are you doing?
It's why it's silly that they when women play softball and they make them wear shorts.
So they had this great idea. Disco is Dead night.
Disco's Dead. Bill Veeck's son, Mike Veeck, is the promotions director for the White Sox.
So they're like, somebody said this is a good idea. So I think they wound up getting, instead of it started going viral technically, but I don't know what viral means, listening to radio and say, everybody get down to Comiskey Park. Right, they're burning disco albums, bringing disco, and I think you got in free with a disco album or something along those lines.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Or discounted price, something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's like another one we were talking about that just missed the list, the $10 beer night in Cleveland in '74.
Right.
The 10-cent beer night.
10-cent beer night where they had to call
it. Just missed. It just missed.
Yeah.
I at least had to mention that. It was like orgies going on.
Oh,
in
the people.
The beer was only 65 cents at the time anyway. So 10 cents, it's not really that much of a discount. You do a 10-cent beer night in a stadium now. Yeah, they're going to need. They would need so much security in Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine over there. Everybody would be dead.
Yeah, SWAT teams would turn into some kind of war.
They need tanks.
Turf war,
of course.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, you get in the thing, you have an album. Yeah. They play the first game. I think it was Texas won. Yeah. And then, because they were playing Texas at the time. So during the intermission, which usually lasted an hour or two, or an hour and a half, something like that.
Tigers playing the Tigers.
Oh, Tigers, that's what it was.
And Detroit, get to Detroit Rock, man.
Oh, of course, the same thing, exactly. Yeah. So I think Detroit won the first game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Then they had this big, giant barrel out in center field. And there's a bulldozer there. There's a lot of stuff going on. On a field, you need to play. On a field, you need to play another game on in under an hour.
Yeah.
The explosion goes off. I don't know. There must have been a ton of M80s. It was a legitimate explosion. Yeah. There might have been a stick of dynamite in there or something.
Yeah, something.
The whole thing blows up. Records are everywhere. People were flicking records in the thing. You get hit with a record in the jugular.
It's like Clemens throwing a bat at you.
Yeah, these people have no utter disregard for human health at this point. So Dahl is running around in an army helmet looking like Patton or Stalin.
Yeah.
You know, and like saying this is over. And then he's like, look at that. It's burning. Everything's going to flames. Disco's dead. And people were like going crazy. Now everybody's drinking.
If you give people a reason to riot, they're going to take it.
Of course. Next thing you know, there's like 45,000 people on the field. Because there was one person did it, and another person did it, and another person did it, and then there was no security.
Yeah.
So boom, everybody's on the field, blowing stuff up. They're jumping on the. They're sliding down the foul poles.
Yeah.
Bill Beck comes out. He's like, "Hey, all right,
please stop.
Please, we've got to stop this. It's getting worse."
Yeah.
People were saying like the girls were running around naked. It was just a complete lunacy.
Yeah.
So then they also had like a scoreboard that like blew up. It was called an explosive scoreboard.
Yeah, because even if like the White Sox hit a home run, it was right.
It was explosives.
Yeah.
So they probably used those explosives to like blow up the disco records.
Yeah.
But I mean, how can you sit back and not and think that you're going to get 70,000 or 60,000 people who hate disco off the field to play another game in like less than an hour? Clearly, it didn't work out.
Not gonna do it.
It didn't work out. They're like, tonight's game, the doubleheader is canceled.
Police and riot gear have to come out.
They did, and it was just complete lunacy. And you don't really see that anymore. Like you don't really see the guys like back in the days when people would run on the field naked. They would show it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They would blur it out, but it would be like on This Week in Baseball and whatever. And Morgana with the girl with the big tits used to run out.
Oh, Morgana, the kissing bandit, kissing Cal Ripken Jr.
Yes, exactly. And she used to come on there all the time. Now, if you go on the field, you're dead.
Oh,
especially with this climate. Like, you
can't
know what people are doing anymore. Yeah.
Remember, I think one of the most heroic moments in baseball is Rick Monday taking the flag away from the guys
the guy was going to burn
the flag.
Of course,
he was a Cub. He did it at Dodger Stadium. And eventually would join the Dodgers.
Of course,
and is a great Dodger radio announcer. You can hear him slur his words by the sixth inning. It's great.
Of course, he's a great guy. But that's the number one thing. Like, how can you sit back and think that's a good idea?
If you're a Vec family member.
And they're probably like, Vic, we're going to burn all the disco albums. And he's like, you know what? That's a fucking great idea.
People hate disco. This would be great.
Oh, no, yeah. They did, especially down there.
Orderly, calm destruction of disco records on a cheap beer night.
One of the players, oh my God, one of the players was like, I forget what, I think it was Ron LaFleur or something.
Yeah.
He was like, I was in a disco last night, hanging around with chicks. He's like, I don't see anything wrong with it. You know, he was like, I don't care what they were doing. He was like, I was in the dugout playing cards and waiting for the game to start.
Yeah.
I think they asked him because they were interviewing him. They're like, when did you know the game wasn't going to start? He goes, well, once a bulldozer came out, and he's like, yeah, we're not going to get that off there. I mean, wow. And that, the thing about Bill Veeck, and obviously he had two things on here. We could probably dig deep and find more.
Yeah.
He was an independent owner. He wasn't like a self-made millionaire, nothing like that. I mean, he was a self-made millionaire, but
he comes in.
He just was an independent guy. You know what he also was responsible for?
Yeah.
He went to Wrigley Field. He's like, something's missing here. He's like, you know what? Let's throw ivy on the wall over there.
Yeah.
He put ivy on he was the one responsible for the ivy.
Yeah.
And then he went on to be like the promotional guy there. Sure enough, he bought the St. Louis Browns or whatever it was for like $10,000.
Yeah.
Or something crazy like that.
I am reading. If there hasn't been a
movie or
documentary about this, there needs to be. Maybe we need to do it, Tom.
Yeah.
Owner Bill Veeck was concerned the promotion might become a disaster and checked himself out of the hospital where he'd been undergoing tests. He wasn't
was
even
sick.
there. His fears were substantiated when he saw the people walking towards the ballpark that afternoon. Many carried signs. Rusty Staub, the late great Rusty.
He was on Detroit at the time.
He was Detroit designated hitter, a famous red hair player, played for the Mets for a long time. Fans began throwing the uncollected disco LPs and singles from the stands. This is in the first game.
Yes.
Staub remembered that the records would slice through the air and land sticking out of the ground.
Yes.
He urged his teammates to wear batting helmets when playing their positions in the field.
No, it was true.
Here's the quote from Staub. It wasn't just one, it was many. Oh, God Almighty, I've never seen anything so dangerous in my life.
The game went on. I mean, wowzers. So that's why it's number one. Like that could have been a full-scale
It could have been a death. It could have been Altamont. It could have been.
Yeah, I don't think they had any fatalities, but I think they arrested like 17 people for indecent exposure, all kinds of stuff.
Mike Veck says he recalled an odor of marijuana.
Yeah.
You don't say in the grandstand instead of the attendees. This is the Woodstock they never had.
Yeah, I mean, wowzers. So that right there is just number one. It's just somebody should just build a movie around it.
Absolutely.
And this guy Dahl, like I said, if you look up pictures of this guy, he's like marching around like he is like it's bad. Like, this was his time. This was his day to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. This was crazy. That is July 12th, 1979.
I mean, that's not even long ago.
That's not, man. I was alive.
Yeah, same here. People are, what in the world?
And these are the things I grew up when
these things cannot happen anymore.
They cannot. And look, I think that's okay. But when I grew up and started getting into baseball, I'd read these books. I read a 2,000-page book about the history of the Yankee dynasty. I was in seventh grade. And you'd hear these stories. And I always talk about, for me, every one of us have a year, and you and I are within the same age within a few months here. What I call your year of pop culture awakening. So for me, I say 1987. Everything 87 and after seems like present day history that I lived.
Oh, sure.
I remember when I sat there watching Kirk Gibson hit the home run. I remember when Jessica McClure fell in the little well during the 87 World Series. Little baby Jessica. But everything prior, even 86, to me seems like history.
86 to me is when I woke up.
Yes,
like my life woke up,
and it might be
like I was never so. It was euphoria. It was like I was on LSD. Like I've never seen. I was never so happy in my whole entire life.
And this is what I mean.
To this day, it's still one of the top 5 moments in my whole entire life.
Just waking up,
just watching the Mets win the World Series.
Mets win the World Series.
Yes, correct.
And see, that's interesting because I remember watching the Mets win in '86. I remember John Tudor and the Cardinals in '85 against the Royals and Saberhagen, who was 20 at the time. That's crazy.
84 was Detroit. 83 was the Orioles. Yeah.
But I don't, I didn't act. I was like, it was something my dad was watching. It was 87 Twins Cardinals I was watching.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm talking about. So in 1987, I would read books about baseball history, and Disco Demolition Night seemed like it was the 1920s.
Yep.
It was 7 years prior, roughly.
Sure.
That's insane to me.
It's lunacy how that happened and how quickly that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like the Son of Sam in like 77 with the blackouts and, Reggie Jackson vaporizing 3 homers and first pitches and just unbelievable stuff. The black seats. Unbelievable stuff. With the way you see it, I didn't have any really baseball cards from like 84 and 85.
Yeah.
But 86 is when I turned fully
collecting
into like full baseball. My brother had 84, 83, and some 79 cards. I had some Ricky Anderson rookies.
Oh, yeah.
But he was, he was already done with baseball by the time I started liking it.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
But he's like, here, take these cards.
Yeah, I remember my friend, Sean Phillips, shout out if you're listening. He's a great guy to get on this conversation. Sean and I used to test each other in 6th grade. We'd sit down at recess. This is also why I didn't talk to women for a long time. He'd be like, all right, I'm thinking of an NFL quarterback, number 12, former played in the Lions, and I'd be like, Joe Ferguson, quarterback.
Yeah.
And we would test each other on our knowledge. Sean, we would...
That's what people do with the Schmodown now.
They do, and God bless them. God bless them. But we would, anyways, we would just get into the history of these things. And we were, Sean, that's where I was going. Sean was the one who was like, dude, have you seen the new tops? They got wood grain borders. It was 87 tops.
Yeah.
And I remember the phone call. This was a phone call.
Yeah, I used to wait because there was nobody knew when they were coming out.
Yeah.
I would go check into the discount store every day until they came out.
Until they came out.
And I'm like, they're here.
JJ Newberry was the store in town. JJ Newberry. And I'd get a wax pack or a cello pack. And
3 cellos.
Sean was on. My mom was like, Kenny, Sean's on the phone for you. Hey, Sean, what's up? Dude, have you seen them?
Yeah.
They got wood grain around them.
Yes, it was a beautiful card.
Different time, different era.
They had the little trophy for rated rookies. I was like, that was their All-Star rookie.
The top
Don
All-Star
Russell's rated rookie.
Oh my gosh!
Sets. I mean, I can go on all day long.
We could do this. This has been a super long edition, and I think that's with good reason, Tom. It's always fun to talk to you about anything, but talking about baseball's opened up a new idea, new thoughts in my head. So, hey, if you're listening out there and you like what you heard on any level here, I do encourage you to let us know. So maybe we'll do more of this kind of talk and put it on our Saturday nights here, the Napzok Files, we go with some different shows, different kind of things other than the main interviews. But this is a very proud main show this week because it's been a lot of fun.
This was fantastic. We know what we got to do. We got to do that. The base. Somebody opens a pack, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
They hide the name.
That's
and we just got to guess it.
We do it on the afternoons, but I want to do. I think that's a great way to talk about baseball or any sports. You can do football and the memories of those years, and that's something that's coming down the line too. Before I get out of here, I got to take care of some housekeeping. Then we'll pass it some stuff to Tom. I want to thank my executive producer, Patreon supporters. These are the ones who support me at a high level. It's DJ Snacks. You know him, Real Snacks Attack. Does a lot of the movie trivia, Face Off, the Fan League stuff. Thomas Risling, he works with me over in Casualty Talk. Lethal Logan X, Paul, my friend Paul, you met him, the police officer, who is a giant fan of Little Bobby and the Juice. Matthew Simon, Bador, Matt Thompson, Tamor, Abdul, Donalong, Nathan Ovendale up in my hometown area of Santa Maria, Zach Anderson. Speaking of my hometown area, August 24th, more details to come, but I will be there as part of an event put on by the Central Coast Film Society with permission for the fine folks at Lucasfilm. We're going to be showing at the Clark Center Community Center. It's on my high school campus. It wasn't there when I went to school. Big community center. We're going to be showing Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and I'll be hosting the event, doing a Q&A, book signing, VIP experience, all that kind of thing. Get to meet me, and I'll be selling some books there if you need a copy of the book. That's coming August 24th in my hometown of Rio Grande, California. You can go to their website, centralcoastfilmsociety.org, for more information. You can purchase tickets there from the Clark Center as well. That's coming. Tom, I can't thank you enough, and I really want people to check out Little Bobby and the Juice on YouTube. Tell them where to find that and you.
Little Bobby and the Juice on YouTube. It's my handle on Twitter at Little Bobby and the Juice. We put out roughly, we have an 8-episode first season. We're 5 in. Mm-hmm. The 6th one is dropping next week.
Yeah,
it has an A-list celebrity that I think you guys are really going to love. It revolves around, a little snippet revolves around Little Bobby. His dream is to be a reenactment actor. And somebody is shooting him a Gruff commercial across the street, and he is not a part of it, and he somehow becomes a part of it. The Juice is there helping him out, and they run into an A-lister, and we're going to see how it goes. But look, awesome. The support for the show has been great. Yeah. It's a long con. It's a long business. It took adult robot chicken 3 years to sell to these things. Yeah, you got to put out the content. Unfortunately, we're scripted. It's a scripted brand, so it's very hard to keep putting stuff out on a consistent basis. But we're going to try to do a little more, and we're thinking of a lot of ideas to get more content to everybody on a weekly basis. So, like I said, I appreciate it. It's a breath of fresh air, I think, in a world where, like I said, I know people's comedy is fine, but I don't watch network TV. I can't watch these comedies anymore. It just doesn't work, and it's just something that I feel it's like a breath of fresh air. It's very Seinfeldian. It's got a lot of weird twists to it. People are always like, I'm not really laughing at this. I'm like, it's not about the laughter of the show. Right. It's about just the weirdness of it. And just like get the jokes and get the stuff. And now that's another thing, I write with a lot of older references. And I know a lot of the fans are younger, so they're like, I don't know what like Dolly Parton means. So it's like doesn't really find it. You miss one joke, the rest of the show is over with. You know what I mean, for people sometimes, and it's unfortunate. But I know I'm a reference-based comic, and my references kind of stop after 2001. I get it; it makes me seem old, but I'm sticking to it. Same here. That's all I know. You catch up, not me. Exactly. That's all I know. It was a better time back then, anyway. It was. Tom Dagnino, thank you so much. I'll see you around the Schmodown world as well. Hopefully some of you are coming down to San Diego Comic-Con, big event. Go to theshmodownlive.com for more information. That's it for now. I'm going to go watch some baseball. Thanks, Tom. We'll see you all. This has been Life Ranked on the Napzok Files podcast feed.